WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany, tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Today I have a Glendullan from the Gordon MacPhail Independent Bottlers, and this is part of their Connoisseurs Choice Wood Finished series. Now, this whiskey here was distilled on the 23rd of April, 2009. It spent the next 9 years in refilled bourbon barrels. Very interesting to see that they actually read at the top here. Carefully matured in our own casks with spirit entrusted to us from Glendullan distilleries. So Gordon MacPhail actually gave their own casks, refilled bourbon casks, over to Glendullan, and this was bottled on the 7th of February 2022 with 12 years after receiving a 3-year-old Côte-Rôtie cask finish. Now, there are 3,245 bottles of this worldwide. We are at 45% ABV. Did I say whiskey number? Whiskey number 208927, and we're between 94 and 99 euros for this bottle. Now, this is a Speyside distillery. You may know Glendullan, at least in the States, because it is a whiskey that is often used for the singleton from Diageo. Now, over here in Europe, we actually get to have the wonderful experience here of Dufftown by Singleton, and in Asia they have the Glen Ord. So Diageo has 3 distilleries, workhorses for the blends, but also now they have the, I can actually read this because I thought this was interesting. I'm going to read from the 2023 and the 2022 version here because both of them have great information that I thought I would like to share. So the Singleton appeared in 3 different versions: Dufftown for Europe, Glendullan for the US, Glen Ord for Asia, and became an instant success. The first official sales figure numbered 1.5 million bottles in 2010, which rendered the brand an 11th place on the top list of single malt. 5 years later, it was number 5, and the owners rebranded it, declaring their determined ambition to develop the Singleton into the world's #1 single malt. Since 2015, however, with sales of almost 6 million bottles, the brand seems to have lost the momentum and volumes have remained. In all honesty, that is also the case with the other top 5 brands. Growth in the single malt Scotch whiskey category has instead come from a number of brands further down the list. All right, so Singleton is not Singleton in America like it is in Europe, and not as it is in Asia, which I think is very interesting. Going over to 2023, it says here the founder of Glendullan, so a blender from Aberdeen by the name of William Williamson, I just love that name, was well acquainted with the owners of Glenfiddich, the Grant family. And when Glenfiddich started producing in 1888, an agreement was made where Williams bought the entire volume produced at the distillery. This contract was dissolved 2 years later in 1890, when the 2 parties had differing opinions about the terms and conditions. 2 years later, when the Grant family founded Balvenie, Williams approached them again, looked for a new agreement, but was rejected. So finally, he had no alternative other than to build his own distillery, Glendullan, on a site by the River Fiddich. So Glenfiddich is on the stream or River Fiddich, and just 1 kilometer south of Glenfiddich. The working distillery we see today is of a much later date, built in 1972, and the 2 plants operated simultaneously until 1985, when the old distillery was closed. The old buildings are now used by Diageo's distillery engineering team. Did not know all of that. That's totally new for me. All right, so the distillery is equipped with a 12-ton full Lauter stainless steel mash tun, good, 8 washbacks made of larch, and 2 made of stainless steel with a fermentation time of 75 hours, as well as 3 pairs of stills. And in 2021, the distillery will be doing 21 mashes per week. In 2022, they tried to do 22 mashes per week, producing over just 5 million liters of alcohol. Of the three singletons, Glendullan produces a green, grassy new make, and it is definitely the lightest of the three. All right, so that's a lot of information there. So what am I going to compare it to? You're going to laugh, but you'll find out why in a moment I'm doing this. This is Jura. This is Jura red wine cask. I was actually at Jura in May of 2022. The day I arrived, all the distillers stayed home because they had just contacted COVID. And by the way, I also got COVID there during my trip to Scotland and in particular to Islay. Came back with COVID, and we won't talk about that anymore. But that's just part of my trip over there to Scotland, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Would do it again. So now this costs 26 euros. This costs, let's just say, 95 euros. So I can get more than 3 of these, almost 4 of these for the price of 1 of these. Now, this is 3 years and very nice red wine casks. This is, I don't know how long and what type of red casks, red wine casks, all right? So it's just red wine cask edition. This is 40%. This is 45%. This says non-chilled filtered and natural color on it. This does not. All right, so it's an unfair battle, you say. Let's find out. On the nose. I really like this nose. It's got a good nose. It's got a nice peppery, we have something called Pfefferkuchen over here, and it's like a peppery type of, with ginger and a little bit of cloves at Christmas time. It's like a gingerbread that has a little bit more of peppercorns in there and so on. I'm getting that. I'm getting a nice red wine moment going on. I'm getting plums. I'm getting blackberries. I'm getting raspberries. This is very, very nice. Very ripe, very, very good. There's a hint of sulfur, but just a very, very little hint. I think this is going to be fantastic. At least in the nose it is, all right? So over here, this is almost perfumed. It's like a artificial strawberry vanilla, almost like a Hubba Bubba strawberry vanilla artificial flavoring moment going on here. It's not bad. It puts me back to my childhood, and I kind of like this. This forces me to think of when I drank wine more. I was involved with wine. I did wine tastings. I knew more about wine than I do now. This is a good French wine that has a wonderful nose that I like. All right, so Glendullan, I have never tried that many from Glenord, from Glendullan, from Dufftown. Those are whiskey distillers that I have not spent much time with. You? So my question of the day is going to be actually, I have 2 questions, normal, not unusual. Of Glenord, of Dufftown, and of Glendullan, what products can you recommend of any of those 3? And if that's too difficult, what do you love to hate Jura just like we do over here in Germany? Jura is one of the joke distilleries, yeah, because there's hardly anything that is unchilled filtered. It's almost like it's like the little brother of Dalmore. We hate Dalmore and we hate Jura even more. All right, so this is not one of the brands that are out there that we go, wow. All right, I have not been particularly disappointed by Jura, but that's just me. All right. I would give this a B for the nose. I like this. This is a good, nice red wine influenced whiskey here. All right, so let's try this. So, Slanchava, that's something I don't often say, do I? Slanchava is to your health in Gaelic. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, this reminds me of some wines that I've had in my life. Some wines you sniff and you go, and you taste, and there's like this explosion in your mouth of just goodness. And there's other wines I've sniffed and this is going to be so good. Mediocre. And that's what I'm getting here, mediocre. It has a little bit to do with the sulfur that's coming along with this whiskey. They did put the sulfur candle in the Côte-Rôtie cask before they sent them to Scotland. Unfortunately, um, there is a certain astringency, which is not the problem. Sometimes red wine and the distillate goes together just perfectly, and other times there's a fight. And I have the feeling, now I might be wrong, I have the feeling that if they had, back then in the year 2009, if they had not used refill bourbon barrels for the first nine years, but actually a nice Côte-Rôtie um, red wine cask for the entire 12 years, and then allowed that whiskey to be bottled at cask strength, they would have had a masterpiece. I have the feeling that the first 9 years that this whiskey just didn't develop like it should have. They looked at the cask and were like, what are we going to do? We're going to put a finish on it, try to cover up our mistakes. And so 3,245 at 45%, that means we have, I don't know, do we have 10 barrels here? Can we get 324 per barrel at 45%? Probably. So let's say the 10 or 12 barrels, they put it into the barriques, which are instead of 200, they're going to be 225. And then you just let it sit for 3 years. And you say, okay, it's not going to get any better. Let's bottle it. This is a C whiskey. C. The value for money is a D. Am I willing to pay 99, 93 euros for this again? Never. All right, this is not something I can highly recommend. This is something that I go, well, no, sorry. Nice try, try again. So, this is unfortunately a whiskey that I cannot say good job. If I add a little water, taking down to 40% here, before I do, I'm going to go to the Jura because I looked at all the different bottles I had here. I couldn't find anything very quickly with a red wine finish. I saw this, oh yeah, the red wine. Okay, but it's only 40% and oh, I'm sorry, it's Jura. As I said, 26, 27, 28 euros for this bottle. I'm just going to drink this. And if I had to pick between the two of these as a dram to drink in the evening, I would definitely go for this. This has that nice strawberry, vanilla, raspberry. It's not artificial, but it's definitely there. Now, I'm sure I've had some good strawberry ice cream. It reminds me a little bit of that. Now, with fresh strawberries mixed in there. Um, the 40%, absolutely okay. Do I notice that it's chill filtered? I don't know. Do I notice that there's coloring added? Probably. No. Do I notice that the flavor and the price actually of a whiskey that is available is to my liking? Yes. What other whiskey under 30 euros with a red wine finish can I recommend? Tamnavulin. I have to do a couple of videos about that one day, but Tamnavulin, also by the way from White and Mackay, just like Jura, just like Dalmore, just like Fetacan, they're doing actually for the value for money. Some of their products are actually very, very attractive, and in my opinion, this is attractive. This is something I would give actually almost a C plus, and I like in comparison to this. All right, so this has had the water added. It has a moment to calm down. Now I'm going to try this again in comparison. And definitely in comparison, that sulfur of those wine casks kicks in more, which is my opinion bad. Now some people are sulfur insensitive. I'm sulfur hypersensitive, I would say. So I catch that sulfur moment time and time again. And the intensity of the wine finish is here first stronger, and second more to my liking. This actually reminds me, as I mentioned before, of a prized red wine that delivers on the nose but doesn't deliver on the palate. That's what I'm getting here. So, C, taste, value for money, D. All right, so what's your opinion of Ajora? Do you love to hate it? And of the three products worldwide that go into the singleton from Diageo, Glendullan, Glenord, and Dufftown, have you had anything that you can recommend with a wine finish, without a wine finish, whatever? Thank you very much for watching, liking, subscribing, and sharing. Um, this bottle, I have 10 CL left, so maybe somebody's going to take it on my bottle share group in Germany. You have to be in Germany in order for me to send you samples. I do not send to other countries in Europe or to UK or to America or to Australia or to Japan or any other place in the world. Only in Germany do I send whiskey. Sending whiskeys across borders is difficult. So sorry. Thank you very much for all your time, effort, and the comments. See you soon, WhiskyJason. Bye-bye.